right. And just a reminder to all of our all of our guests, to make sure you have your cameras on. And we're going to get going here.
What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Welcome, everybody, to the awakening world. And welcome to everybody who's watching us live. And welcome to all of you who are watching our recording. Welcome to those of us in our Zoom room, all of our closest friends and fans. And welcome to those of you watching on one of the 100 Facebook groups and pages that now carry us. Thank you, John and Summer Raymer and the Sign Network, for making that happen. Or perhaps you're watching us on Unify, and we love our friends on Unify. Or perhaps you're watching us on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel. However, wherever you are, welcome. We do want to invite you to come on into the Zoom room, because that's the easier way to interact with you. We have a really important conversation, important topic, all about transforming and healing our relationship to death. And there's a lot of death around us right now, starting with the pandemic. Obviously, I think many of us are impacted and very concerned about what's happening in Europe. And so now is the time for us to go deeper into understanding about death. And we've got a remarkable group of people who are joining us tonight. So if you want to come on into our Zoom room, it's really easy. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com and register. And actually, when you register, what will happen is you're going to get the links for the next 3 months. We do this show every Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. We take a theme like tonight's and this weekend's theme of working with death, transforming our relationship to it. And we explore it throughout the weekend on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. Now, of course, this show, the Saturday night show, we always add music and carry on what we started with the Saturday Night Alive show. So want to encourage you to come and join us just by going to globalpeacetribe.com. All right. Well, I woke up this morning and my first thought was, I get to work with Kristen Hoffman today. Really, that was my very first thought. It's a Kristen Hoffman show. And I'm sure by now almost all of you know beloved Kristen Hoffman. She is my co-pilot and co-creator of the show, and of course we're going to hear her play. She is, for anybody who doesn't know, she is a conscious musician, producer, and sound healer. She's the vocalist for the internationally acclaimed show Bella Gaia. And of course, she's a frequent co-host and now collaborator with me, creating shows with us about every month or two. And Kristen, thank you so much for being with us and making this show happen tonight.
So awesome to be back with you tonight, Scott. And I'm
deeply passionate about this topic. So I know we're going to have a night of deep discussion and music and just open our hearts in a whole new way around a subject that can be challenging.
Absolutely. Well, we've brought in some remarkable people, and here's actually somebody that Kristen brought in, and I'm really looking forward to meeting Frederico, coming to us all the way from Brazil. He's a violinist, composer, conductor. You're going to actually watch a beautiful video of him conducting Adagio for strings. So get your tissues ready because that always makes me cry. But he also is a psychic, and he discovered those abilities and his ability to look at death at age 20. And he has since evolved as a spiritual channel, helping many people to cross over. So welcome, Federico. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everybody.
And speaking of helping people to cross over, for those of you who were in the early Zoom Room show, you saw our beloved friend, Daniel Brinkley. He, of course, wrote the best-selling book, Saved by the Light. They made a movie out of it. And he has become a champion of the hospice movement. And Daniel has helped thousands of people to cross over. You'll hear my story about what I've watched him do. And Daniel's with us throughout the evening. And so grateful to have you with us, Daniel. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Scott. I mean, come on. I'm very proud of what you've done and how through this pandemic, this Saturday night programs, and watching what you do, I'm very proud. And I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be among the guests that you have lined up that's helped people to deal with death.
Thank you, Daniel. And we'll be hearing a lot from Daniel in a little while. We are also blessed to have Gary Malkin, who's come back. And again, Gary is one of our favorite musical artists, and he's a beautiful, brilliant speaker. He's a multiple Emmy Award-winning composer, public speaker, performer, and a music wellness innovator. He produces strategies for health, wellness, and most of all, a more compassionate world. He co-produced the acclaimed classic Graceful Passages, which has touched nearly 1 million people. And we're going to hear all about that and see a section of it and hear him play music. Gary, thank you so much for being with us.
So wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. And coming to us all the way from India, actually Nepal, and I hope that I do his name properly, is Dr. Abhijit Dadam. And he is doing such important work in the world. We are so honored to have him with us. He's an anesthesiologist and intensivist by profession, but he ventured into palliative medicine in 2004, and he established the very first rural-based hospice in India. He put his own personal savings, and by working pro bono, he supports patients in these rural areas to deal with their existential questions about death, while he himself explores and supports people in the fields of religion, spirituality, and afterlife. And he recently completed his PhD in parapsychology. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us from all across the world and for the beautiful work you're doing in the world.
Thank you. And it's my pleasure to be on this show.
Thank you, sir. And my soul sister, Celestine Starr, is with us. And again, Celestine is a regular on The Awakening World and Saturday Night Live. And she's a true Renaissance woman for our evolutionary times. I think she's been on my shows for about 5 different topics because she's so wise on so many different things. She's been offering humanity her sacred healing wisdom, intuitive and perceptive abilities, worldly business knowledge, and joyous, creative, artistic gifts for over 40 years. She started when she was 5 years old. Celestine, it's so good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Just an honor.
And we have a wonderful after show planned. Really, she's become kind of our regular on the after show. Fanny Starchild is here. And tonight we get Fanny playing harp. And her beloved Vigari is not with us, but Omashar is. So for the after show, you're going to get Fanny and Omashar, a double header. And we've got a real special surprise, and we also will be doing some prayers for peace. So this is our show for tonight. And welcome, everybody. It's great to have you with us. And now I am going to turn it over to my co-pilot for the night, the wonderful Kristen Hoffman.
Oh, thank you so much, Scott. It is such a beautiful honor to be here with you all. Thank you for all of you who are tuning in for this discussion and exploration into how do we transform and heal our relationship with death. I feel this has been, for me, a really important topic for a long time. I felt called to this from an early age, and I actually took a mini training as an end-of-life doula because I felt, somehow music plays such an important role, and we need to be able to get more comfortable having conversations about the most important rite of passage in our lifetime, right? We are born into this life, we go through all of these experiences, and then the most important rite of passage, why are we so scared to talk about it? We can empower it. We can get comfortable with this topic and start to embrace conversations so that we can have the death that we really want to experience. And we can support those who love us in getting comfortable with us. And if we are supporting someone who is coming to end of life, the more you can become comfortable with this subject, the better. And you're going to just lift and hold that person in a new realm of comfort. And actually, it can be a very beautiful topic to embrace with others. So my hope for tonight, and we have so many amazing speakers, is that through this conscious dialogue, through this music, through this space of togetherness around this topic that can be one that triggers us, that we can just bring ease and levity and embrace this subject together. And I know that ripples of healing, ripples of transformation will move out into the world as a result of even our willingness to come together around it tonight. So without further ado, we are going to go into a prayer to start. And our first guest after the prayer is an incredible being, an incredible composer, a medium. He works with those who are dealing with death and dying, and he works as a medium to help connect with the other side and really ease that transition. Federico has used his music as a vehicle in this process as well. And this first video that we're going to watch as we go into a prayer is of one of my favorite composers, Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. And Federico went back to his hometown in Brazil. I believe it was 2021. And this concert was a memorial concert for those who had passed due to 9/11 and COVID, I believe. Yes?
Yep.
I think
on the day of 20 years, the day of.
On the day of for the 20th anniversary. So really, even the encoding of this concert is in total alignment with our evening tonight. And why don't we bring Scott? Scott, you want to come on? And let's bring Federico into this prayer as well.
Yeah, so...
Can we all mute those who are not on right now? I hear somebody's microphone on. It would be amazing to just have total peace as we go into this video. Yeah. So, Federico, why don't you step into this prayer with us? There's so much going on in the world at this time. There are so many people going through suffering, so many people facing the topic of death and dying. And in our lives, I think it's important also to acknowledge the theme of death in our living. So many of us in the past 2 years have had to completely watch our careers, our connections to family, our connections to ourselves go through our own dying processes. And I think it's important to acknowledge that in our own lifetime, we can also experience death many times. So I just want to open this space for the deepest, deepest prayer, for the highest sense of grace and healing and ease coming into our hearts and all of the hearts of those who are suffering and who have had to go through the letting go process. And Scott, I know you have a lot to offer here as well as we step into this prayer.
Let's just, as we listen to this extraordinary piece of music that probably all of us have heard and maybe have a relationship to, I just invite us all to pray for that which is most alive in your heart. It may be very personal. It may be the form of prayer where you're listening and allowing the music and spirit and God to come through you. And there's the form of prayer where we listen. There's the form of prayer for where we ask. And I trust that each and every one of us will pray in the way that feels right to you in this moment as we enjoy this extraordinary piece of music, which is conducted by our guest, Federico.
Thank you, Federico.
So hard for me to stop it, but we had agreed to stop it at the 7 minute and 9 second mark. It's like, oh, so
Wow.
incredibly beautiful and so beautifully conducted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Federico. That is one of the most beautiful pieces ever written. And the way you conducted and the way you really brought through the emotion and helped the musicians to tap into that emotion and the portal between the realms. It's just so, so beautiful. What a gift.
Thank
and
you.
what a perfect way to start our show tonight.
And it was in the oldest church in operation in Brazil. It was built in the 1560s. So to
Wow.
be in such a contrasting place on the day that 9/11 happened, exactly to the day 20 years later, as the concert was about to start, it was very hot in the church. There's no air conditioning. A slight drizzle started coming down. And in the original recording, you can actually hear the drizzling just as the concert's about to start. So I thought that drizzling was so beautiful. It just as like a balm going over the church and the moment. So I was so humbled and honored to have a chance to do that.
Wow. Well, it is so beautiful to have you here tonight. I'm actually thinking maybe just let's keep in that zone, Scott, and maybe you come on at the end after Federico speaks, and then we'll share his links and everything. But before you speak, I just want to give you a proper introduction here. Federico is a violinist, composer, conductor, and podcaster, originally from Brazil, where we just saw him conducting. He moved to the US at age 13. When he turned 20, he had a nervous breakdown and attempted suicide. He discovered his psychic abilities and was able to pull through his depression with the help of spiritism practices, including helping souls cross over and volunteer work. Federico is based in New York City, and he devotes his time to his real estate career, his music, and his spirituality channel. Federico, I'm so excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much, Christy.
I for some reason, all of a sudden, my ability to turn people on and off isn't working. Debbie Johnson, can you please make sure I'm still host? And can you please remove Kristen and I so that Federico is fully spotlit while I figure out what's going on with my mouse?
Okay. I'm still
Thank
here,
you.
but here you go.
Okay, you guys tell me when to stop. I'm very new here. It's the first time I come into your space, your home, your tribe. Thank you so much for being here and doing the work that you do, Scott, and meeting Daniel and Kristen. The experience that you saw, is part of a healing process that's still happening today. All of this that you read in my bio happened thanks to spiritism, which is something that the term is loosely associated with any practice with the beyond. But in my case, it has to do with the philosophy that was put together in the 19th century in France by an academic named Allan Kardec. And at the time, spiritualism was at its heights in North America and Europe. And a lot of the phenomena of the tables that were turning and pianos going up and down, including Abraham Lincoln's wife, the First Lady, she was renowned to be a medium and bring people to the White House to give readings to the president and many of the generals at pivotal moments in American history, especially during the Civil War. And supposedly the young mediums that she helped bring to the White House, Mr. Lincoln would see them during his lunch break. And he was very open, respectful to what they had to say. And a lot of the times they were in trance and they paid attention to what the messages were coming through. And a lot of it was military advice to the front lines, which was contradictory to what they were receiving from letters. And the spirits, including some generals from the time of George Washington's lifetime, were coming through to help Lincoln keep the country united, keep the country together at such a crucial moment. And I feel we're going through a similar moment right now in the United States where we need so much the help of the spirit world to speak through people that are peacemakers. And I feel that this tribe here is doing this movement, this work together. And so I don't have much personal things to share other than I did the work through mediumship in spiritism, which involved always group work, and it's always volunteer. No money is ever exchanged. Nothing's ever charged. And it involves us going into a seance by allowing ourselves to be channels of spirit entities that have not yet crossed or who might be persecuting an incarnate entity who happen to come to a spiritist center. And so through channeling them, we talk to them, we do some type of spirit release and gently, respectfully invite them to be led to the doctors and nurses that are working with us in the spirit side. And if I can share one powerful experience, I heard Daniel talking about his work with veterans. Veterans is something very close to my heart as well. I've been helping bring musicians to Veterans Hospital before the pandemic to play for them. And we get to face their sorrows head on when we're playing for them. And death is very present where they are, including the many staff in the veterans hospitals in Manhattan that are going through crises, and they're having chairs that they have to set up in front of their bedrooms on 24-hour watch. And I never forget walking through with the musicians to play for an hour or two to interact with them and seeing the staff there present. And I remember that it really touched my heart. So I used to do my best to close my eyes and play the violin in a way that would bring healing to them. And I will share one last experience in one of these many mediumistic, that we call them, sessions in a spiritist center. Well, on the day of Memorial Day, it was a Monday night in New York, and we were about 15 of us, the volunteer mediums. And at the end, we were doing a closing prayer for peace and for healing. And we had it on our agenda that night to do a special prayer for all those people that were victims of war and the military. And I'll never forget, because this was a vision that was also shared by the others that were in the room. As we were praying, we started seeing a lot of soldiers coming in, but all of them had the Nazi regalia. They had the Nazi attire. And as they started to fill the room, they all began to kneel down with one knee. And they had that really bright black hat from the war, and they took it down. And they started to kneel, and they would look up, and their faces were covered in tears, and they were weeping. And all they kept saying is, why doesn't anybody pray for us too? We are suffering so much as well. And as they were saying this, I could see rose petals falling down and light everywhere. And everyone felt this catharsis in the room. And it made me feel such a tremendous empathy for all people who are suffering in war. And I'll never forget that day. So I didn't plan to say this, but this is my sharing for today. I hope everyone is receiving this energy with love and peace and gratitude, and keep up the great work, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, before you go, I want to read one of our viewers in our Zoom room asked, I have a deep and paralyzing fear of death. Frozen in fear, dysfunctional, cannot sleep. It's not helpful to me to be told there is no death. I'm still afraid, and I'm open to healing. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the vulnerability of that sharing, and just wanted to ask you, Federico, what you might have to say to that participant in our Zoom room.
I mean, I'm with you. I've attempted suicide at my height of my nervous breakdown. So it's kind of like wanting to die, right? And so the fear that I feel that you have is something akin to that, where it's bigger than you, more powerful than you. I can only turn to music in moments like this and allow the sublime language of music, especially instrumental music, to envelop you and allow yourself to visualize a beautiful afterlife. And in this process, hopefully helps you to shift from the actual transition of the death directly into the afterlife aspect of it. That's what I would say.
Thank you for that. And I know it's a difficult question, and I just so appreciate the vulnerability of our friend here in the Zoom room asking that. Federico, I think people are probably going to want to watch the end of your beautiful adagio. And so I just want to direct people to your YouTube channel. And what a beautiful name for your YouTube channel, Spirit Reflections. And that's where people can find the adagio. And just tell us a little bit more about all the different offerings that you have here.
Sure, Scott. Spirit Reflection started really as a hobby during the pandemic. I was in New York City in a very small apartment, and we were all very afraid of dying. And I decided to start it then. And it's a bilingual channel of interviews. I bring people from all walks of life, philosophers, scientists, religious people, to talk about their personal spiritual journeys, the tools they found along the way, and how those tools have shaped the work that they do and the people that they are. The majority of the interviews are in Portuguese, but I make efforts to bring more and more people to speak in English as well. And the interviews that are in Portuguese that are very compelling, I've done subtitles in English, and they're available there. And I'm really excited to say that I will be bringing Kristen Hoffman next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time to talk about her music, her beauty, her light, and to share her personal journey. So I'm so thrilled and honored that that's going to happen. I invite everybody to be there.
I'm so excited. Spirit Reflections. It's going to be a beautiful night.
So now what time is it? Because let's make sure we've got, okay, Debbie just put it in. So for everybody, that's next Wednesday night, March 30th at 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern.
On YouTube.
Beautiful, on YouTube. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, definitely we'll do a promotion for that.
And you know what? While we're here, I want to say thank you to our mutual friend, my longest time friend, Kristen Thomas.
She
is my spirit sister in this life. And about a month or two ago, she said, Kristen, you and Federico are meant to know each other. I just know this is a spirit connection that must happen.
Yes.
And she put us in contact. And from the minute we met, it was just an immediate soul family reunion.
Yeah.
And I just have so much respect for you, Federico, and the presence that you hold, the loving presence that you hold, and your ability to be completely authentic, even around, your presence as you shared your answer and that you tried to commit suicide yourself, and just the transparency there and the honesty. I just have so much respect for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Your honesty is so healing for us to be able to hear these, your real life experience, and also how you've evolved from that point.
I appreciate it. Blessings to everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Scott.
I've got to ask one last question, Federico. Did you know Luis Gasparetto, being the beautiful spiritual
Yes.
person that you are? And Luis, I had on my television shows back in
Oh,
the day.
wow.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that. I won't.
Yes, that's
Luis
amazing.
Gasparetto is an amazing spirit channel who channels new works of art from deceased masters, and he can
Right.
do a painting with one hand, the other hand, and his foot simultaneously.
Yeah, it's
He's
incredible.
channeling a Rembrandt, a Monet, and a Renoir all at the same time.
Yeah.
He's an incredible being, and I realized
Wonderful.
you, Brazil, I think you had to know Luis.
Wow.
There's a lot of good stuff here in Brazil.
Yeah. All right. Let's all go to
Thank
Brazil.
you, Federico. We
Thank
Thank you,
love you.
everybody. God bless. Thank you,
God
everyone.
bless you. Oh, thank you so much for bringing him on,
Isn't
Kristen.
he beautiful?
I'm going to ask you to just stay on for a moment. This is going to be very brief because we're not doing fundraising for a particular organization tonight, but we are asking everybody to register for the new season of The Awakening World. Yep, we're going to do another 3 months. And just a reminder that these are some of the wonderful people that have been on the show in the past that will certainly be on again in our new season. By the way, Pato Banton just performed the wedding ceremony for Ringo Starr's son, Zach Starkey, last week. And I know Pato's quite popular, loved on our show. So we're going to do amazing topics. We've got a big show planned for Earth Day. We're doing a Saturday Night Alive anniversary show. We are doing a show on science and consciousness. We'll continue to do everything from social and racial justice to environmental activism. 3 more months, every Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. And it's easy to register. You can go to globalpeacetribe.com, or thank you, Debbie. She's putting the link into the chat box. And now's the time to register. This is the last weekend of the first 3 months of our year. And so next weekend, it's all new links. And you get those links that last for all 3 months once you register. So please do join us. And you can come in at different levels. The lowest level is $15 for seniors, for students, for people financially challenged. And everybody is welcome. But boy, it sure helps when you come in at the $35 level or the $75 level or even the $150 level. And we really appreciate our $500 level people. And that is how we're able to pay our musicians, able to pay for Unify to carry us, the posters, the marketing, all that takes place. So your support is really important to continue moving the Global Peace Tribe forward. So that's what we're asking for tonight.
And Scott, you do so much to support all of us. And I know so much of your personal time all week long, every week, goes to building and sharing these shows with so much love and care. So as everyone's signing up, Scott just shared with me that coming up is the 2-year anniversary of the show, and it's going to be his 111th weekend. 111th week. And I thought, oh, that's a master number. I love numbers. So my suggestion is that when everyone signs up for this new season, that we tap into we just honor Scott and all of those 111 weeks and donate $1 for each week. And we all send $111 in. That's what I'm going to do. And I think that would be an amazing, right there, that would be an amazing way to support the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm seeing that, thank you, Amanda. We have enabled so you can register now using a credit card. You don't have to use PayPal. You can use a credit card. Just try it again. Thank you. Thank you so much. It really feels good. All right. Well, I get to introduce one of my absolute favorite people. This is my soul sister. We both parachuted into this world around the same time. She was born on December 24. I was born on December 25. And of course, I'm Celestine Starr. And Celestine is a Renaissance woman. And I'm actually going to share a little bit of a personal story. I mentioned all the various things she's involved in at the beginning of the show. But when my wife passed away, Celestine knew Suchi when Suchi was very much alive. And Celestine, along with Guinevere Bridge, were the two people that had remarkable experiences of my wife after she passed away. And consistently kind of connecting with her, seeing her, passing on messages from her. And it was very, very meaningful. And there's some really rather mystical, extraordinary experiences that happened. So thank you, Celestine, for serving as a bridge in my life. And I know that you've served as a bridge for many, many people. As I said, you are a multidimensional being. You've been awake to the other side since you were a child. You've been aware of angels and ETs, and you've been able to stay awake and to see those things that some of us only see for a moment and some of us only fantasize about seeing. That's part of your regular reality. So thank you for being with us, and look forward to hearing what you have to share about how we can transform and heal our relationship to death.
Thank you, Scott. That was so beautiful, the introduction. And, our connection with Suchi and her passing, to recognize she was communicating with us before she passed, in her spirit self. And then afterwards, that has brought us deeper, as it does for those who gather around those departing. And so there's really no words for that, and I'm so grateful, and I just love you so much. We just carry that specialness in our hearts.
I love you too. And there's an audio issue happening with you.
Audio
It's like a wind sound. I've checked and everybody else is muted.
Let's see here. I'm going to undo this microphone and see if does that help?
Yeah, that does. Just let me see if you're loud enough
I
without it.
think the fan in my computer goes bananas and my Yeti picks it up for some reason.
Much, much better. Thank you so much.
Better? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so you asked me to share some of my wisdom on death and dying consciously. So to prepare people, how do we prepare to meet our maker? Or if you feel that you're atheist, to go to the other side and end your life as if you did not exist again. So my intention is to begin with the understanding that death is a part of the great mystery. And I want us to just take that in. So it places us in the whole of creation, and that we are not separate in any way. How do you connect into the great mystery? And I begin with the breath. So those of you who are interested in stepping deeper into the practice of becoming familiar with death and transitioning into the spirit world, going into an interdimensional existence, you begin with the breath. That is my suggestion. So we look at the first breath that we took. The first breath, taking that, and if we feel that moment there was a lot going on, more than just opening your mouth and opening up and drawing in the breath. For the woman, and I've had children, there's something more. There's an intelligence that is involved in that whole experience. And so I want to remind you that in the first breath and every breath that you have until your last breath, there is an intelligence that is sustaining you. And so practices such as Hatha yoga, you can do the different yogas that are presented in the world, Raja yoga, there's Egyptian yoga that has to do with breath, but connecting into the breath and recognizing and tuning into that which is sustaining you. So we look at that and we say, this is a supreme intelligence. It's the intelligence of life and death. What would have that ability to bring you in, to connect you into this world and sustain you until it was time for you to go? For me, I place it among the supreme forces of creation. And I had that experience at a near death. I did die. I was gone for some time, came back in a coma, but I did go through the light and was met by two intelligent blue beings who guided me to have the reading of my life. And every breath you take, every time you blink your eyes, all your double words, yes, that was great. No, and then you're inwardly saying, I would never taste that in my life. All this, every single thought gets fed back to you. And then after I was finished with the reading of my life, and it wasn't really a reading, it was more like a feedback and light frequencies coming into my intelligence, I ended up in the great creator. I call it the Godhead because it was too holy to speak of it, to bring it to you. I'd have to prostrate myself and it was just so holy. And I was told, okay, time for you to go back. And I said, no, I'm not going back. And so I told the creator, no, there was no judgment. They just showed me what my life would be like. And then I was told to return. So we have this understanding, I have this understanding that every part of your life is registered and is aware. So it guided me to understand the supreme forces and the intelligence of life and death. And death became my friend. I had no fear after that. I was able to accept going or coming. It didn't matter. And I found myself coming and going when I came back with the coma. I would just go out and just go straight up into the light, come back. I left a little part of myself there so that I wouldn't run into, I wouldn't have to be stuck here because I did not want to be here. That was for sure. I was not in a safe environment for children, but I made it through. I learned the way, and I'm here to share with you. I want to give you the 6 pillars of creation because this is most helpful. Most people fear what they've done in their life and that they're going to meet their maker and they're going to be judged or they're going to go to hell, or all these programs or thought processes that are going around in a circle. But I'm here to say that you will be who you are when you are out of your body as a spirit being. And when you feel and know what you have done, we have eternity to work through these things. So give yourself a break. There's no judgment. I think you mentally create your own hell, and there's a lot of hell here on earth right now. So I just want to give you these 6 pillars: love, truth, harmony, balance, compassion, and joy. So if you live your life in truth with love, bringing harmony to others, keeping yourself in balance, offering compassion and joy, you hold the frequencies of a higher state of being, and carrying this with you through life. When you go to the other side, knowing that you have bettered yourself or you held yourself in a good integrity, when you go to the other side and you're with your creator, then there will be joyousness. We'll just keep going, keep going. I'm going to give you a practice that I learned that takes you into the holy state of breath. And that is to take a breath and in your inner mind, chant the word Om. As you're chanting the word Om, you'll notice that you're not able to take another breath. It's almost like the breathless state. This is one of the practices that is shown to shamans and such, that you can understand that there's more to your breath than just breathing in the atmosphere around you. So I give you that, okay? Also, I want to state there is 4 cycles to life: birth, life, death, and spirit. And unfortunately, it is not really taught about spirit. We heard Federico talk about the spirit world and spiritism, and I studied it and researched it quite a bit. And so if you begin to open yourself to a whole world of spirits, and one of the things that you can understand is for those spirits who are there to always give benefit to everything, they're always for beneficial good. That is how you can discern if they're going to bring trouble or not. Even in this world, spirits can bring trouble. So like attracts like. So if you're a person of beneficial effect, you will attract those things that are good to you. So hopefully keeping the 6 pillars going there. Wanted to talk about people blocking their memories to the point where they can't remember living in the spirit world. And my grandson at age 7, just out of the blue, we were riding our bikes and he says, "Grandma, I remember how I died." So I recorded this whole story of him walking in out in the street and being hit by a car. He knew his mother, his father, he knew where he lived, the street, everything. And I looked it up and he knew. So in the Tibetan lineage, they do have people, they don't suppress your memory of where you came from before you came here. And I enjoyed listening to his story of his heavenly mother and his heavenly playmate. So encouraging those to go to a practitioner who's really great at past life regressions, and they could take you through the process. You can actually feel yourself leaving this lifetime, going into the heavenly realms. I do that on a daily basis. When I say, okay, we're going to take you before you're born and you're in the divine realms, they don't question me. I never had one person say, no, I've never been there before. Even if they're atheists, they have a tendency to follow through and they find themselves in the divine realms, whatever that may be. So you might want to take a journey to move through your fear by seeing a practitioner that can help you to do that. So I'll give you some preparations. Again, start with the breath and recognize there's an intelligence that is sustaining your life. For those in hospice, you'll notice, and I've done hundreds of people in hospice, you'll notice that they tend to wander off. They're already out of their body by the time they take their breath. It's really powerful to watch the body still breathing, but we know that their spirit is no longer there. But yet there is the sacred honoring of that until the very last breath. And the spirit has left. So what I do with my clients that are going through hospice, I have them practice taking their last breath. Where do you go? What do you do? And we practice until they feel comfortable. It's okay to bring up that as they're going towards the other side. And they do enjoy it and they do receive something out of it. If they are needing, I go with them to the light. Often they'll say, could you please go with me? And I will journey out of my body to the light with them. And it's wonderful. It feels good and sacred. Walk the path of impeccability as if you were going to go and be before your maker every day. So um, recognize that you have two voices. Us sensitives can hear those voices, both of them. Yes, you love me, but really there's something else going on. So most children, most adults, we're becoming more sensitive as the energies rise on the planet. So again, strive to live the 6 pillars of creation, be a good person, raise the frequency. We have enough of the other going on. And remember that all life witnesses your life. So we honor your passing, honor the passing of those into the spirit world, And I always tell people who are on opiates, they have a tendency to wander off into bardo planes, and to make sure and call them back to the body before they die, because it's important. They sometimes wander off and do not realize that they have gone. Yeah, am I coming to the close there, Scott?
Yeah, and so many wonderful tools, so many wonderful things that you're offering. Thank you.
Yes. Can I say my last word?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm going to quote Socrates. So I want to say, death is your friend. Create a symbol for those that you love, so that when they pass, that you could communicate, because spirit communicates in symbolism. And the word death may be the greatest of all human blessings. And that's a quote from Socrates. Thank you, Scott.
Beautiful. And want to just let everybody know that you can get a lot more wisdom, golden life wisdom, from Dr. Celestine Starr. And it's from her website, which is goldenlifewisdom.com. goldenlifewisdom.com. And Celestine is such a sweetheart. She is providing a really lovely gift. All you got to do is put your email address in here, or click for your free ebook, and tell us about the ebook.
Yes, the ebook is all about, it's called Golden Life Wisdom, the Meditation for Manifesting. And I just love people to learn how to manifest their life, to know the way to manifest through the spirit world, rather than, trying to go get a job with an application and such, or go get a house, or all the things that you need in your life. It's really communicating with the intelligence of creation, and watching your envisionings and your heart's desires manifest. There's the download. Push the button, download. There you go.
Beautiful.
The book. That's the book.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
And
see how fast it is we can get that? I love the world we live in now, right?
Yeah, and I work with people to watch their manifestations grow. So once you've done it 5 times, you're going to say, I could do this,
Fantastic. Celestine, thank you so much for your wisdom and for just being such a powerful soul sister in our world. And you know that I love you.
I love you. And I love to you, Kristen, too, because I'm just so enjoying your presence. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to her to introduce our next guest.
Okay. Well, Celestine, I just want to say that was so beautiful. So many tools that we can apply to our lives and to our process in relationship to living and dying. And when you were sharing about your grandson, that is one of the most special. I was thinking, if my grandparent had recorded me talking about a previous lifetime, and then I was able to listen to that later on in my life, what an incredible gift. And I think you just queued us up to when we hear a young person maybe sharing these stories that, oh, we can write them down, or we have our phones now, we have recorders with us whenever we go. And what a gift that is. And just sharing those stories also, I think, dispels fear, right? When we can share stories that young generations are bringing through from that space between the realms that they remember, it really helps us to tap into the cycles, right?
Yes, and he was not afraid to tell me the whole story, his angel mom and his friend.
Wow.
So that was incredible. I was shocked at first. I thought he's a little toku's, a little Tibetan toku, you know, because they remember their
Wow.
lives. Yeah.
That
Thank you.
moved me so deeply. Thank you. Thank you. So our next guest is someone very dear to my heart. The amazing Gary Malkin. He is an incredible musician who is able to immediately tap into the other realms and bring through sonic frequencies and melodic progressions that almost instantaneously. Literally, Gary has this ability from first note. His music instantaneously opens my heart and opens a portal so that I'm dancing between the realms. I'm very much here, but I'm also remembering so much of spirit that is important to bring through. And there's never a Gary piece where I don't end up crying. And you know, Gary is just a blessing to our lives. It was an obvious choice to have Gary be with us tonight because he's done so much in relationship with this topic in his journey with music. And let me just, before I turn it over to Gary, I just want to share a little bit. He's a 3-time international, sorry, I'm going down. Excuse me. Gary is a multiple Emmy Award winning composer, public speaker, performer, and music wellness innovator who produces strategies for health, wellness, and a more compassionate world. He co-produced the acclaimed classic Graceful Passages, which has touched nearly 1 million people, offering support for those traversing the dying process. And I know Gary's going to share with us a little bit about a video that we are about to see from Graceful Passages. And then Gary's going to come back in a bit and play a live song for us as well. Gary, so blessed to be with you.
Oh my God, Kristen. I love hearing you talk about the effect my music has on you. I can hear that all night. Thank you so much.
Love you.
So, you know, what I want to share is, first of all, just for the record, I had the great honor and privilege to co-create Graceful Passages with Michael and Doris Stillwater from the years 1998 to 2001. And the role that Doris played was such a pivotal role. It's Michael's wife. And we're in the process of healing our relationship and offering Graceful as an ebook with some very new special spoken word and music offerings, including a rare recording of Pir Vilayat Khan, which is unheard of, who's the Sufi master's son, Hazrat Hanayat Khan. So there's a lot to look forward there. I do want to, I want to share this. I wasn't going to do this, but while I was waiting, I wanted to share just a little context because I'm right before the video. So I'm going to actually share this. That's not what I'm going to share. Here we go. I just want to share that the thing that I want to say before we play this track that is called Letting Yourself Be Loved. We are living at a time where there is more unacknowledged, unassimilated, and denied grief than ever in the history of the world. And at the root of this unassimilated grief is the issue of the fear of death and dying, which is the trunk, the mama, it's the mama drum of it all, the fear of the unknown, right? But so we all live in this culture where we avoid everything associated with it, right? There's no recovery time with all of this stuff going on. And I think so just sharing a few of these things. So what happens is we accumulate this unassimilated grief, and it becomes one of the most powerful obstructions of our lives in expressing our shininess, our creativity, our beauty, our purpose, our mission. It gets in the way. And here's just a quote. I want to share this before you listen to the video because I want you to get that the culture we are living in, we're like the frog that's allowing itself to boil to death. And what that means is we become more and more, I want you to listen to that, we become more and more inured to the effect that unassimilated grief has on us. It's like, what if the grief is an invitation? And what if the avoidance to the grief and the death and the loss is actually the cause of most of our suffering? And I'm phrasing this before you listen to the video because what you're about to see and experience, this video, we asked Lou Epstein to speak as if he was talking like a father was talking to a son. And hundreds of thousands of people have used this track to actually become present to what was happening to their loved ones. What Ram Dass said about graceful passages is, yeah, if you're conscious enough to meet your death with a sense of equanimity and presence, great. Listen to the music and spoken word. But it's actually for all of us, like Kristen, you were saying earlier, to become at peace and with equanimity around this subject, so our loved ones who are dying don't feel us freaking out and avoid the experience, which could be one of the most, as Celestine was saying, one of the most beautiful experiences of our lives, right? So this is what you're about to hear and see, is a film that we created with some still images. But I want to frame this properly. If you know yourself to be a sensate, where when you look at visuals, it actually takes you out of yourself, what I want to invite you to do is close your eyes and allow the music to have its pure impact on you. Now, it's fine if you open your eyes, because we set up an image that is so beautiful with cross-faded images that if the visuals are supportive to you having a more enhanced multisensory experience, by all means, look at the video. But I'm framing it this way because this tool can be utilized to create and alleviate fear of death, dying, loss, and grief in a way that will enable you to become more alive and precious, with a gratitude for the preciousness of life, and enable you to be more of healing presence and blessing for anyone in your life that you love that might be going through a difficult time, and not just the death and dying process, but loss of any kind. So I'm going to let that be the introduction to the film. I hope that wasn't too long, and allow yourself to experience this as if you were given a terminal diagnosis, and just allow yourself to come to deeper equanimity and presence. That's the invitation. One of the most beautiful things that we can do when a piece of music ends is treat it like a little death. The transition from music to reality is akin to moving from spirit into form, right? So those moments of acknowledging what effect has this practice of listening had on us together, and did we wake up a little bit more to the realization that we're all going to disappear one day, and we have no control of how or when or why. It's going to happen. So thank you for the opportunity to share what, to me, has been the greatest gift of my life, was to realize that through the lens of accepting death, loss, grief, and illness, I become more. It's why all the hospice people are the coolest people in the world, because they know to have a good time, and they know that life is short, and how fragile and beautiful it is. How beautiful it is. So I just deeply, deeply honor you guys for creating this evening together, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about, I love what you said, Kristen and Celestine, let's make friends with the reality of our mortality. I love you guys. And
Thank you, Gary. That was so, so beautiful, knowing that you're loved. And then also the message of forgiveness in there. So important. And this line came to me as I was watching the video, that those who are in the dying process, they give us the gift of enhanced life. Because every time I have walked through the dying process with someone close to me, the thing I come out with is a remembrance to wake up every day and cherish this life and make the most of it and love and be loved. So thank you, Gary. That was real medicine.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I just want to shout out it's exciting to see Danyan Brinkley here, because Danyan was one of the very first people way back when it was released in 2001 that we almost signed a deal where he was actually going to use it and share it and everything. And something happened between our people, and it never ended up happening. But I have loved Danyan, and he's been one of the early endorsers and believers of the work. And Daniel, it's so beautiful to see you in this context. And that was 22 years ago, buddy. Nice to see you, my friend.
Well, you're going to see a lot of Daniel because he's up next. But
Great.
before we do that, I do want to take people because Gary is offering something very beautiful. Now we're going to get more Gary. He's going to play a song for us in a little while.
That
But
page,
this
you
is
got to
his main. Right, I
get rid of
understand.
that joy in our community so they can see. There it is. There. Good.
Well, I also, now, Gary, wanted people to know that they should join your community. So slow down now, slow down. We want
Okay.
people to join. All right, so go to wisdomoftheworld.com and go ahead and join his community. And then after you click it and join, so he's got your email address, that's when you get to look at all these beautiful things. The Graceful Passages collection. He's got a really beautiful offering.
By the way, that is 55 tracks. It's a toolkit for environmental chanting, some spoken word and music, different forms of music medicine for the person who wants to support those who are going through loss and end of life loss of any kind. And it's a specially curated collection that we discounted for the Awakened World community. So I hope you enjoy it.
Normally $300, $49.99. Thank you so much, Gary. You are such a gift, and I love you very much. And Gary's going to be back with a live song in a few minutes, and we're also going to play another one of his videos tomorrow during my Sacred Sunday show. So thank you. I'm going to make Gary disappear, and I'm going to disappear so that Kristen can introduce Daniel.
Wow, it's amazing how we can just disappear and appear these days.
I love it.
Daniel, it's so wonderful to be here with you. I have to say, the first time I became familiar with your life and story and your work was on an episode of Saturday Night Alive about a year and a half ago, and I was playing music. The subject of the evening was near-death experiences. And there were amazing people on the show, but the minute I heard you talk, I felt 100%. I felt like an encoding of truth through every cell of my being. And I can't tell you how many times I have shared since that day with a friend that I'm talking to, having a conversation or eating a meal with about your message. And one of the things that struck me so deeply was very akin to Gary's video that he just shared. I remember this, and this was so important, and it has helped me live a fuller life since, that when you got to the other side and looked back at this life, it wasn't, you saw that life wasn't measured in what we achieve, but in how much we love. And that sunk in so deeply for me. And since I really felt that, I've been literally going through my life and trying to be more loving and have that voice inside my being say, oh, Kristen, is this the most loving way I can be right now? And so it's such an honor to have you back. Let me just read a little bit about your bio so everyone can hear about you. Daniel Brinkley, 3-time international best-selling author, struck twice by lightning, most complete near-death experience on record. Daniel Brinkley is the author of the New York Times and international bestsellers Saved by the Light and At Peace in the Light. His books, tours, and lectures with his wife, Catherine, have transformed the consciousness of people across the world. So, Daniel, I would love to invite you. I know some people have heard your story, but a story like yours, you can never hear enough times. And it's so important that we really let Daniel's story sink in and the wisdom that comes through his story. So I'd love to invite you to share your story of your near death or your death experiences. I don't know how you refer to them, but and the wisdom that's come from the other side. I turn it over to you with love.
And thank you. And I'm just so appreciative of tonight. Watching how this show is and doing it in spring and you and Scott pulling this together. Thank you. I mean, the spiritual world is where I spend most of my time because one day I was just a jerk, a guy grew up in the South being a tough guy, thinking I was somebody. And one afternoon, on a Wednesday afternoon, I was struck by lightning and it went inside my head and down my spine, welded the nails of the heels of my shoes to the floor and threw me in the air. What I discovered, much to my chagrin, was that I am a spiritual being like each and every one of us who are here. I'm a spiritual being, and the physical nature of this is a point of observation. All of a sudden, I was burning and on fire, and I lifted out of my body. And I became aware of what I thought was a space in between the two. And I was so very proud of Celestine as she was describing her situation. But I'm a very analytical person, and I watch things because I grew up as a tough guy, so it was hard to frighten me. And the pain was so severe, and I was blinded. And then all of a sudden, I lifted out of my body. I could see what was going on because a ball of fire had come through the room and burnt my eyes. I had to wear welder's glasses for 2 years, and I couldn't be in the sunlight without those glasses. And I could see, then down a tunnel, and then to a place of light. Everybody who is afraid of going from this world to the next, I can tell you this, someone will come to get you, someone you trust. There's never that moment in all the times of the tens of thousands of hours I've spent at the bedside. And I have seen some pretty remarkable things. Someone will come to get you. So if you're afraid of what's next, trust that there is a safety mechanism put into place, because we buy so much into the illusion of reality. And we buy so much into, like I said earlier, religions, institutions, and governments who seek to control us. And the so-called unknown of the next level of consciousness has so much controlled everybody's thoughts. Well, the next level of consciousness, everyone, is to go back to where you started from. This is just a place that you come because you were chosen to come here, and you chose to come here. You were chosen, which is the glorious part, because you had to have achieved what I always say, everybody is a great, powerful, and mighty spiritual being. Great, powerful, and mighty are earned rights to be here. Spiritual being is who you are, no matter what, with dignity, direction, and purpose. So the only thing that could ever really go wrong is that you lose or allow something to affect your dignity, which skews your direction and your purpose. One of the greatest things about what Gary does is this thing called grief, and how grieving is a control mechanism. You have loss and separation, but grief is a control mechanism put upon us so that you lose the nature of gratitude. I wake every day and I am thankful, and I'm very proud of things I see people do. And I am thankful, and I live in a state of gratitude because I have been able to see this level of consciousness and other levels of consciousness. I've paid dearly for them, but other levels of consciousness that understands the power of us as spiritual beings. And I try to create language, Christine, so that people can look at it from an everyday point of view. No one will ever die. You have to stop it. No one ever dies. You only live. Well, what that means is forever just got a whole lot longer. And you're going to be you forever. When you frame it that way, all of a sudden it becomes an exploration. You are exploring what's next. Like someone asked earlier, was she going to be able to go home to her home planet? Well, it might have been a planet that you lived on or existed in some part of your growth and experiment. I don't deny that. But we have multiple existences as we have with this one. Why do you sleep half of your life away? Because you're occupying other existences. And I can tell you it's 6 other existences along with this one. What is so important about this life, everybody, is there are a whole pattern of worlds unfolding. that's depending on us, we great, powerful, and mighty spiritual beings, to hold a light. Like what Gary was talking about, we are going through the birth of a new creation. We are watching the world that we have grown up in disappear and crumble before our very eyes. The statistics tell us this. We're at the birth of a new era. Well, the fact that you're here is that you're a light bearer. You come to hold a certain value and a certain principle that is not movable. And the divine, plus these 6 other unfolding worlds of consciousness, depends on you. What makes you so special as a great, powerful, and mighty is most beings are amazed at us who come to this allotted time to practice co-creation and being godlike, to be compassionate, caring, loving, and to define ourselves as spiritual beings. So how would you do that? Well, when Catherine and I wrote Secrets of the Light, it comes this way. So start today as this new spring. What is the power and value of your love? Think about it, everybody. What is the value of your love and what's its power? That's where you begin. And second, what is the value and power of your beliefs? What do you believe? How strong do you believe it? And what action does it require you to take? Then what is the power of your choices? And what is that value? Are you making choices that increases the value of yourself and the world you live in? And most importantly, what is the power of your prayer? I was so proud that you, with someone in Brazil, could come and open up a worldwide Saturday night with a prayer and some beautiful music. So I'd like to commend you on that. So everybody, what is the power of your love and what value does it serve? Define this. Define it so that you have a measure to look at yourself and a measure to look at the world by, instead of letting the world decide the value of your love based on how people reciprocate it, not whether you gave it or not. Second, what is the power of your belief? I believe that you are a great, powerful, and mighty spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. I believe you are here just like me to be the difference that the divine makes in the actions that are moving this world through a very changing period as a new age is being birthed. What is the power and value of my choices? My choices is to be open-hearted, focused and dedicated, staying grounded. Because if we don't ground ourselves in things like Saturday night, and we don't come spend our times in love and face all the issues as what Scott has done and what Deborah did and what now you and Scott are doing, allowing people to have an open-hearted place to feel the security, safety, and comfort to open up and feel gratitude and love, and to listen to all of us come together to send that love and that hope to each of us. And then most importantly, what is the power of your prayers? This becomes one of the single most important things, everybody, because the power of your prayer, the lesson that you have to learn is prayer is defined as willful, conscious intent. Willful, conscious intent. And once you look those words up in Saved by the Light and in Secrets of the Light, I always define the words. But once you understand the definition of those words, then you send prayer. You don't just pray for something. You structure your prayer as willful, conscious intent, and then you send it. Because then the divine spiritual being that you are has structured it in such a way that you willfully are aware You are conscious that you are capable of sending healing power. And your intent is for the greatest good of the world and the people around you. When you take your love, your belief in your choices, and you turn those into prayers and you send them, you dwelling in your divineness, and you open up layers of consciousness and you peel away so many things like grief and suffering and abuse, and you don't put yourself into those situations. I've been able to look and structure my life, the value of my love, which is hospice, because where two or more gather in my name, so shall I be among you. So I've had a chance of not only after having a death experience, 3 near-death experiences, and then another death experience from going into cardiac arrest, I've had the pleasure of watching what happens in segments of my life as my life passed before me. Like Celestine was saying, you see your life as a review. You watch everything that's ever happened. You will see a 360-degree panoramic life review. You'll watch it as a second person point of view. So you see yourself as your own best friend, and then you literally become every person that you ever encounter. And you'll feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. No one gets away with anything. And everything is fair and just. And then the most important thing is that you literally ask yourself this question: if the divine or if God could not come today and God sent you in the life you just reviewed, what difference did you and God make? I became a hospice volunteer because I am not afraid of death. It's the biggest, most ridiculous thing that anybody thinks about. It never happens. And most of us get all worked up about dying because we see how medicine can keep billing us. And we see the horror we put people going through, trying to keep them here for ourselves and them trying to hold on for us instead of gracefully and lovingly and powerfully and divinely letting them go. You will see them again. You work as teams in this, and you come together as teams in this dimension. So I'm so proud of Gary's music and Celestine and the violin opening. I was floating, knowing that I could pray and send prayer and love to everybody based on how you opened that. And I think it was really smart and way to go. So my hope for everybody is this: that they listen every Saturday night and that they please join and they please send the $111 and they buy Gary's $49 because I watched Gary's stuff be so important in the course of as the VA, as I've evolved in setting up programs in the VA. Gary is a wondrous and great, powerful spiritual being that's put his work and his love in a very meaningful way. So thank you both.
Don't go away yet, Daniel. A couple of things. First off, our good friend Kenny Kaufman wants to remind everybody that you will be live at the New Living Expo, which is coming up the second weekend of May. And,
Please, everybody, come.
and we're going to do an entire Awakening World weekend, the weekend before the New Living Expo, with some of the favorite Expo speakers. So hopefully we'll have a chance to have you come on back.
Oh, that's great. And thank
Yeah.
you, Debbie, for doing all the stuff that she's doing.
Oh, well, we love Debbie. I'm going to bring Debbie on since you brought her out. That's Debbie Johnson. She does all the links. She makes it all happen. We love Debbie very, very much. Daniel, there's a couple questions that have come in. Somebody on Facebook, actually, asked, does everyone have a panoramic life review? Or is that, because there's so many different experiences when people die, is that what you, of course, have happened? But is that true for everybody? Is the question.
Yes. Everything is structured beautifully. You will see your life pass before you. You will not miss the thing. The thing that I took on is, it wasn't sin, because my first near panoramic life review in the lightning strike, I was basically a prick. I mean, I was an arrogant, pompous fighter. I mean, I'm a former Marine, played sports, all that nonsense that macho brings into life. Okay. So I didn't really have a lot of things to be very, very proud of. And at a certain point, you get tired of hitting yourself in the face.
Mhm.
If you're going to be every person that you ever encounter and you're going to feel the direct results of your interaction, there's a point where you have enough of that. Everybody has to encapsulate this life. If you are the difference that the divine makes, you think of yourself as this: I am the difference that the divine makes. So I am responsible as a caregiver. I'm responsible to help and co-develop relationships that people find peaceful with each other. I watch an end of life situations, what families go through. And I've done this thousands of times, Scott. You've seen the nature that I can interact because I can move between those worlds. I don't have a problem. I'm as safe in the intermediate place as I am all the way on the other side, and I could travel there as whenever it's
Well,
needed to
that
be done.
what you're saying is actually a perfect segue because we got a request that somebody said, Scott, you got to tell the story about Danyan and the guy who was dying in the hospital. So I was going to tell it because I've told it before, but we're getting requests to tell it. So that's a perfect segue. Briefly, one of the television segments I did with Danyan about his hospice work, we went to the Long Beach VA hospital. And we were in a ward, and there was a young man there who was dying of AIDS. And prior to him meeting Danyan, I had interviewed a few key people asking who wants to meet Danyan and get some support for preparing to die. And this young guy was terrified. He was atheist. His parents had drilled in him, there is no life after death. They were very, very adamant, and he's scared. He's dying, and he thinks he's just going to be like all over and black, and he's young. So anyway, Danyan comes in, and we've got the cameras rolling at this point, and Danyan talks to the young man for a moment, and then Danyan asks, "Can I show you what happens when you die?" And the young man kind of is okay, and Danyan just gives him a gentle hug. And it starts like this, and then I watch this guy kind of melt into Danyan's arms. And a really long time goes by. So long, this is back in the days when we only had like 20-minute cassettes in our video cameras. And like the cameraman's looking at me because we're filming, we don't want to miss it. The cameraman's going, we're almost out of film. And so it's like he jumped out, we put the film back in. Danyan's still holding this guy. It's going on and on. Finally, Danyan pulls back and we see tears streaming down this young man's face, going, "Oh my God, it's beautiful. There is a heaven. There is a heaven. I'm going to heaven." And that was on Paranormal Borderline. We showed that. And so Danyan does have this gift of being in both worlds and helping people to see even those who had, however this young guy was, I don't know, Danyan, he was probably 30 maybe.
Yeah.
30 years of previous belief gone in the 15 minutes that he had the experience with Danyan.
And it's so rejected. You know what AIDS does? AIDS in the 80s or early 90s, it was horrible.
Mhm.
And I focused on AIDS patients, especially veteran, because I was a veteran. And that's how I grew, because I can help. I don't have a problem. It's a technique that has to do with breathing. Okay, just like what Celestine said, what I had said earlier. You can breathe if you understand the power of your love. You understand the power of your belief, and you're making the right choices. And it is a willful, conscious intent. You, as a great, powerful, and mighty spiritual being, can take that soul and hold it. And as it holds it, allow it to flow through you into a world that I already know, that I see it, I know it. I have many friends, so-called, over there. Okay. I'm not distant from that place. I'm not away from it. I'll tell you something, Scott. People are going to be really amazed. This is what's going to amaze them the most. You never leave heaven. There is no way to separate from the divine. It is not possible. It is not possible what people think is happening, that they somehow are separate and they got to be good and they got to listen to all that stuff so that they can go back to be with their Savior. Okay? Nobody ever leaves heaven. You don't ever leave it. You project into this. A divine spiritual being, the trap that gets a divine spiritual being to take the opportunity to come here is to hug. You get to hug somebody and you get to hold somebody.
And
That's not a
peaches.
place normally found.
Don't forget how good it is to eat a peach, right?
True, but you know what? Things are about relationships. So eating a peach is the relationship with the peach,
Yeah.
the relationship with your puppy, the
Yeah.
relationship. This life is about developing relationships because you can't practice being a God if you're not developing relationships. Okay. And if you hold on to those things, like I have survived unbearable pain and no chance to survive 4 times, never given a chance to survive, never. I have taken those things that I write about and I have proven by being me that you are a great, powerful, mighty spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. And you need to act like that because you know inwardly what you were sent here to do. Everybody does. This is the trap, and I'll stop with this. This is the trap. There is something that you have to accept as a reality when you come here to practice being a God. That is a lie. There is absolutely no way in the divine realm that you could be helpless or you can be alone. It is impossible. But when you come into this form, you have to take the greatest risk of always being possibly of being helpless when you're born and when you die, and alone. Helpless and alone, and practicing being a God. That's why you are great, because you are willing to step into that lie and hold that presence in your heart and in your mind for as long as it takes for the divine to shift and birth a new world. So when a person is hopeless and helpless, which is what this last pandemic story, evil knows the same thing I know. So if you take a person helpless and make them lonely, and then you cannot see your own parents or children pass from this world, you have set up a psychology that creates the thing that Gary was talking about, that structured grief. And grief begins to control you, and then you become helpless and alone and separated from the people that you love. That is used against you. But divinely, everybody, as a divine being, you can never be helpless and you can never be alone. And you took it on so that you could be the best practicer of being God you could possibly be.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Danyan. And yes, about relationships, my pup just came over and she said, I need more time. So you're right, life is relationship. I want to let people know a little bit about Danyan. You can go to the website. I'm going to show you 2 websites. Go to lightstreamers.com, and then from there you go to the home of Danyan Brinkley, and that's where you can learn more about Danyan. And then if you want to contact Danyan, you click here, and that's how you can send him a message, sign up for the email list, updates, and all that sort of things.
But Scott, I have if you go to Light Streamers, I work with Mel, and I put up things all the time. I'm doing a technique on the universal laws. It's me making fun, but I you know how I am.
Oh,
I
yeah.
structure ways that people can look at this life. The way you can look at this life in this structure, and it's called the universal laws. And each of these laws are how you define yourself. And now I'm starting to the system of breathing, the synchronistic breathing technique. It takes about 10 weeks. But if you take these little things and you practice them in a day, you practice 2 or 3 minutes a day, you will be amazed at what you become aware of and who you become aware of being just you. A great, powerful, mighty spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. And I just help you get whatever affected your dignity back in the box.
Fantastic. Well, everybody go to Lightstreamers, sign up, make sure that he's got the way to reach you. And stick around, Daniel. Love to maybe hear from you if you're still with us for the after show. But we've got to, we're running about 30 minutes late already. And I
Okay,
promised
but
Kristen.
I have to go. I have to go because I have to be up at 6 o'clock.
God bless you then, Daniel. Thank
I
you
love everybody.
so much. We love you so much.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and being a part of this. And that I love you with all my heart.
Love
And
you,
my-
Daniel. You're the best.
Love you, Daniel.
Thank you, everybody. Love you, Sophie. Good job, everybody.
Yay! Thank you, Daniel. Thank
Love
you.
you guys.
Well, thank goodness we've got Kristen Hoffman to play music, because what
Well,
else
actually,
could possibly follow Daniel?
Well, you know what, Scott? I sent you a text because we were running so late. I was, and I want to honor Gary's time because I know there's a lot going on in his world, and I know he had so lovingly agreed to stay on later. Yes, Gary, I see you. I love you, and I want to honor your time. And I totally heard you the other day on the call that we shared. And I just want to really show up to
Yeah, but
to
you're depriving me of the ability to get marinated with your
Well, you can
spiritual
still stay on
essence.
if you like, and I'm gonna play at the end. But I just know that we want to keep things in flow, and I'm ready to hear you play. And I just love you so much.
Just as long as you're doing it for the whole and not just for me.
I'm doing it for the whole and for you, and I'm playing at the end. So this was just a message that I got in my heart that this was what was right. Okay? So welcome back, Gary. And he's going to play a gorgeous song called Do You Remember? And this piece, I don't even need to talk about it. Let's just let the music speak for itself.
All right, hold on. I forgot.
Okay. Yeah, I know monitoring is always important.
No,
Take
I
your
do.
time. Take your breath.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo.
Yay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to
I
leave
was
now.
lying on the floor, stretching my back so I could listen to the most amazing Daniel Brinkley.
I know, wasn't
Oh my
that
God,
incredible? It just infuses you with assurance. I think that's the word. Deep,
I'd said on a
heartfelt
text, but
assurance.
I don't think he saw it, but I went, now I remember why I fell in love with you 20 years ago, Daniel. You're just so much coherence, and the message he has is so important. You know, Kristen, what it reminds me of, and I won't wax on because everybody's going longer, so I'll try to just do this on, but this one thing. In the video we shared, Louis Epstein says this one line, and I must have heard it 1,000 times. He says, but you will always be here. And that's what Daniel was talking about, is that who we are never dies. And it's just transitions into different dimensions. So that's such a perfect segue to this song. In 2008, my sister came down with glioblastoma cancer. My favorite and only sister, but my favorite sibling. And I remember after 10 days, she came back from the hospital after the tumor was removed, and she looked at me and I moved her into my house to take care of her for the next 14 months. And she said, well, wait a minute, you mean I'm going to die from this thing? She was 59. And I went, Alexis, we don't know when we're going to die, but I promise you will not be alone, not for a moment, and you will know you're loved. And so I wrote this song in the 10 days that she was getting this tumor removed that felt completely like our lives never had been the same. And I rarely talk about this, but the sun comes up, I hear a cry, a baby's born, I see her eyes, refers to my daughter who almost died at childbirth and was in neonatal room for 14 hours, and I'm holding her, connecting to her after 30 hours of labor. So this song is really about what Daniel talked about. Do you remember who you are? Do we remember who we are? The beings that will never die. And at the end, I encourage you, no matter whether you're alone or not, to sing the final words. We will remember who we are as a vow. I even invite you to put your hand on your heart when you do it. And here we go. And many of you might have heard this song before, but I don't know. It's worth repeating according to Kristen. So here we go. The sun comes up. I hear a cry. A baby's born. I see her eyes. We're made of grace and a wisp of stars. Do you remember who you are? We take first steps and we fall each day. Then we take that breath to go on our way. We're made of hope and a wisp of stars. Do you remember who you are? Seasons come and seasons go, like clouds pass through the sky. First we're born and then we go without ever knowing why. We have this moment. We have each other. We have this breath of life that's gone in a blink of an eye. We fill our days with endless goals, yet we search and pray to find our souls. We're made of song and a wisp of stars. Do you remember who you are? Plant a seed and help it grow. A flower blooms, but the petals know we're a flash of light and a wisp of stars. Will you remember? Will we remember? We will remember who we are. Here's the vow. Encourage you to put your hand on your heart and connect to the part of us that will never die. We will remember who we are. 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 who we are. Kristen, unmute, sing with me. We will remember who we are. We will remember. We will remember. We're a flash of light and a wisp of stars. Will you, will we will remember. We will remind you who you are.
Sensation. So beautiful.
We will remember who we are. We will remind you who you are.
Well, we are having that little death you described about when a magnificent life, in this case, the life of that song, that has opened our hearts and broken us wide open. And it's like, oh no, it can't be over.
Oh,
It's
it was
beautiful.
just so beautiful. So beautiful. And I feel like I'll never end a song again without remembering that little bit of wisdom from Gary. Just to appreciate that beautiful little death. It's like the little death, and it's when we come to life, right?
Right.
It's that beautiful space in between.
And just because it's about the Ukrainians, I just have to say this thing, because I didn't think I was going to say it, but I'm just going to share it really quickly, is that the Rotary International is doing a global peace concert. And it's looking at this. It's April 23rd, and it's all benefiting Ukrainian humanitarian relief efforts. And I forgot to send this to you, Scott, but my roots, my father's history of hundreds of years of the shtetl was in the Ukraine, a few minutes away from Chernobyl. I've never been there, but so I just couldn't resist. I have to let you know this is a Pete's concert for Rotary at Rotary International on April 23rd. Look for it. And I love you all. I'm going to get off because I know we're all running late. So here we go.
Oh,
Well,
thank you, Gary.
You know, Gary did share with us something that is very, very special. And that is he has put together this beautiful package, the multi-sensory miracle mindset package. So if you go to wisdomoftheworld.com, you can find this. It's what we were looking at before, but now we've got kind of a more full view of it. And thank you so much, Gary, for just the generosity of your spirit, your beautiful music. I so enjoyed the series that you did a little while ago.
Rest in Resonance.
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
7 days. Yeah, and just beautiful work that you did.
Thank
Just
you, Scott.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
love you,
Gary. We hug you. Thank you for everything you're doing for this planet with your music. And thank you for opening our hearts again and again and again.
If
We
you
love
spot it, you got it, Kristen. So thank you. Thank you, guys.
Oh, that was
Well,
lovely.
we've adjusted our agenda a little bit just so everybody knows, and we are going to go to the good doctor waiting for us in Nepal, and I'm going to let Kristen introduce him.
Oh, well, it's such an honor to have Dr. Abhijit Dam here tonight with us, an anesthesiologist and intensivist by profession, was saddened to watch people die lonely, painful, and undignified deaths in ICUs, prompting him to venture into palliative medicine since 2004. Fumbling with answers for existential questions posed by patients and their relatives, Dr. Dam began an exploration into the fields of religion, spirituality, and afterlife, in which he received formal training and recently completed a PhD in parapsychology, addressing end-of-life dreams and visions and meaning-making. He established the first rural-based hospice in India, putting his own personal savings in and working pro bono. His focus remains on utilizing resources which are available, accessible, affordable, and acceptable by the community. It is such an honor to have you here, and thank you for the work you're doing. I can just feel in your bio that you are really showing up for your community in such a big way, and really demystifying and bringing dignity to death that is so needed. So thank you for all you're doing. I really look forward to hearing from you and from your firsthand experience. And I'll turn the mic over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Kristen. And it's my pleasure to be on the show. What I'm basically trying to do is to remove the fear from the whole process of death and dying, because you see, death is the only guarantee which you have after your birth. But sadly, we don't invest anything into the process of our dying, although we know that that's going to be a guarantee in our life. But sadly, we don't invest a single penny into our deaths, because death, you see, it's not a flip switch which you can just flip it on and flip it off. Dying is a process. It takes time and it requires a lot of focus, right? And I do very strongly believe in the concept of afterlife. And although I was a very strong atheist till about 10 years back, but then the experiences and conversations which I've had with my dying patients forced me literally to have a fresh perspective at this whole issue. And now today I'm a very strong protagonist of the whole idea. And if I have your permission, I would like to put forward a small presentation which I've made.
Yes. Yeah, you have share screen. You can share screen.
So this out here, death, dying, and afterlife. What I have tried to do is I've tried to simplify things and make it culturally appropriate in my cultural setting. So the process of death and dying and the concept of afterlife as explained by Sanatana Dharma and Buddhism. So I've sort of brought a cohesion of those principles. Now this picture which you see is my favorite. What you see out here is the lady who is actually lying down. She's actually dying. And this is a daughter-in-law who is giving her a last sip of water. And that you see, that gentleman behind who's watching from afar is a husband. And these are all the family members, you know, surrounding her as she lies down in her porch. And as we say, as her prana, as her life force, prana is the life force, is gradually exiting from her body. And you can see the rays of the sun streaming in gently. And I would rather say her prana is gently streaming out. And about half an hour after this picture was taken, she crossed over. So this beauty which has been captured, sadly though, in the modern world is hard to see, because this was shot in my own rural settings. Unfortunately, in the modern world today, what you die is very lonely, painful, and undignified deaths, hooked onto machines in the intensive care units, you know, and especially if you have a health insurance like you have in the United States, there's a very high probability that you die an undignified death in a hospital, perhaps. So this is how we encourage our patients who are terminally ill otherwise, to die at their homes, surrounded, you know, by their family members in the cocoon of comfort and security. Because at least for myself, I definitely would not like to die alone. I would like to have somebody by my side, because once you're in the process of crossing over, it's just like, entering a new school or entering a new area where you are sort of so afraid and insecure. So you need somebody to guide you through. And this, if you go to Buddhism, the bardo of dying as chanted by Padmasambhava, I would direct your attention to the highlighted areas. I will abandon all grasping, yearning, and attachment. Now, have you ever thought of it? Once, if you have ever seen a newborn baby, as the baby is born, if you notice the fists of the baby, the fists are closed tight. The grasping nature, our grasping nature begins the moment we are born. And only when we finally die does our fist open up. And that is when our fist opens up, we are no longer afraid. And that is when we, get everything. The more we grasp, the more we suffer. And eject my consciousness into the space of unborn Rigpa. Eject what? Consciousness. That means that you are definitely different from your body. Your body is just a vehicle. It's an old car now, and it's time to get out of your car and just purchase a new one. So eject my consciousness. That means your consciousness or your mind or your soul definitely is going to be different from your physical body. And then again, as I leave this compound body of flesh and blood, I know it to be a transitory illusion. So it's all an illusion. I bet many of you have dreams, right? In those dreams, you experience happiness, sadness, laughter, you taste food. But the moment you open your eyes, you realize that that world was just an illusion. So just for the sake of it, if I challenge you for a moment to believe that the world in which you are right now is a world of dreams. And the moment you finally eject your consciousness out of your body, the dream will be over and you will come into reality. So this is a challenging concept. So as I said, the dying requires energy and focus. Try not to distract the dying process, dying person from this necessary process. This gentleman was literally on the verge of crossing over. And although the family members were trying to wake him up, and he would give a blank look transiently, he would open his eyes, look at the family members, and then again close his eyes, because he was focusing on the process of crossing over, right? So this is an important part of the dying process, and we, both in Sanatan Dharma and Buddhism, we have certain practices, like the practice of Phoa, for example, in which we help these souls in the process of transition. During the process of transition, as I said, you're so insecure. The moment you exit your body, and you are so confused at times, you really don't know what to do, because you see your relatives crying and all. So at that time, the whole soul, the mind, needs to be guided gently into the other realm. Now, how does the ancient so-called Hindu system of medicine address the process of dying? You see, I'll just explain these pictures. You see, this lady again was in the process of dying, and she was so scared. And we had to continuously reassure her. If you see her eyes, if you see the expression on her face, you would understand that that she's so scared. So what are the symptoms? What are the so-called, what does the ancient literature talk about the visions which a dying person would experience before death, which would say that death is quite near? Like there's a list, you can just go through it. Now, the concept of Hindu philosophy is that the body is made of 5 basic elements: the earth, water, fire, air, and space. Now, the interesting fact is that when we begin the process of dying, each of these elements, like the earth, water, fire, air, and space, starts withdrawing in a systematic manner from the most gross element, that is earth, to the most subtle element, which is space. You see, as there is a withdrawal of the earth element, the body becomes listless, bedbound, you become so weak, there is difficulty in keeping the eyes open, a loss of sense of discrimination, weakness, drowsiness, and so on. And then when there is a withdrawal of water, he loses control over body fluids, like no control over urine, there's dribbling of saliva and all. And then there is a withdrawal of the fire element. When the body loses its warmth, there is a feeling of intense cold, clammy extremities, and so on. And then there is a withdrawal of air element, which is documented by a difficulty in breathing, labored breathing, the presence of the death rattle, where you can't really cough out and phlegm accumulates in your trachea and you can't really cough it out. So with every respiration, there is this rattling sound, which is very disturbing for the relatives as well. And finally, there is a withdrawal of space in which the soul exits the body, and there are certain paths by which the soul can exit the body. And again, there is a teaching about how to direct your prana, that is your active principle, the prana vayu, out of particular exit areas from your body. And if you manage to do so, then your forward journey becomes very smooth. So especially the Sahasrara chakra, this area at the top of a skull, this is the most coveted for area. And the rishis who actually do sadhanas, they try to focus, they practice focusing, pushing forward their prana through the Sahasrara chakra. So this is the most, wanted area from which the prana should exit. Now here you can see this lady again who was this is our hospice, which is a rural hospice situated in the eastern part of India, not very far from Calcutta. It's about 300 kilometers from Calcutta. And here you can see she's in the process of dying, and the prana vayu, there's a withdrawal of the air element, because you can see her mouth is partially open and she was literally gulping for her breath. And the prana, so there was a gradual withdrawal of the air element from her body at this point of time. Here again, you can see people who are on the verge of death and dying. They experience dreams and visions in which they see their dead relatives or very close, or the dead pets or something which was very spiritually meaningful for them. Those things start coming repeatedly into the dreams. It's not exactly a dream because they can recall each and every aspect of that part. So we prefer to call them visions. And she used to have visions about death and dying, and in which she had visualized her dead husband coming and gently calling her and telling her not to worry, and it's perfectly safe for her to come along with her. So her source of worry was that she couldn't sort of explain the whole thing to herself, because she was confused. Because for anything to be meaningful, you have to give something a sense of meaning. So we helped to bring about a sense of meaning into her dreams, and from that point onwards, she was pretty much peaceful. And religion out here helped a lot. You can see the Rudraksh Mala, the beads. These are called Rudraksh, and it's used for chanting in Hinduism as well as in Buddhism. So religion came forward to support her at this point of time. So religion is a very powerful tool, actually, which would help support individuals in the process of crossing over again. And we have devised a few ritualistic practices in which we touch certain parts of the body which are called chakras, and we sort of energize those chakras and literally help to push the prana, push not physically but sort of virtually, push the prana so that it can exit from a preferred exit area of the body. And you can see the huge growth, malignant growth you can see on her neck. And after the practice, after the ritualistic practice which we did for her, she was so grateful. She was so grateful, and she was very much in peace. So as a part of the ritualistic tendencies, there are so many different types of ritualistic practices, and often the fire is used as a mediator so that it can carry the messages onward. What is important, as I said before, that the process of dying it's a process, it's not a one-time thing. So please do not interrupt the process of dying by making loud noises which are not warranted. And it's best, if possible, to lie on the right side, like the Buddha, the sleeping. If you have seen the statue of the reclining Buddha, so that is, and Buddha did it with a purpose, so that his prana would exit from his Sahasrara chakra. So everything has a meaning and purpose behind it. And this is the whole process. And I won't go into the details. This again is dying in a village. And you can see one of our nurses actually tending to or rather lending physical support to the dying. And this is how our surroundings are. We don't have very high-tech surroundings, and this is how India is. And there was the study which showed the quality of death index, and in which UK was, the United Kingdom was number one. That was apparently the best place to die. And India was way down on the list somewhere, Of course, I agree that we don't have those resources, but what we still have is the physical presence of people around you, ready to hold your hand, support you, be compassionate. So that is what we have, and that somehow doesn't feature in that quality of death index, that support, and that is a big support. So what we need to learn, and especially what all doctors and nursing staffs and healthcare professionals need to know, is to give death a chance. Death is physiology. It's not pathology. You are bound to die. Death is physiology. And the day we understand that, life becomes so much easier, because we have no right or duty, legal or ethical, to prescribe a lingering death. And you need to actually sit up today and make some investment into the process of your own dying, because that is the only guarantee which you have in your life. Think about it. And here I will end with this last picture. This elderly lady is no more. She would have been 110 years old, perhaps. And she was an elderly widow. And she used to sit in this little rickety-tackety bed, and she would eat her rice gently, because she was almost half blind. She couldn't see. She would just touch her rice bowl, and she would eat it, and half of it would drop on the mud floor. And you can see lots of chicks would come, and then the goat would also walk in, and a dog would also walk in. And she used to be surrounded by all these animals, and she used to be at so much peace. And the animals, because see, the animals, they perceive the vibrations. She used to radiate so much positivity and calmness that the animals would come and sit very calmly next to her. And that was a beautiful way to die. She didn't need much of a human contact, because all the animals were there giving her company. So this is something which I want you to take back with you, this image, the picture. And it's a beautiful way to die. So thank you. And I'll stop my sharing right now.
Oh, thank you so much. It's just beautiful the way you've really transported us to the other side of the world. And so much of what you shared was universal wisdom. But seeing those pictures and seeing those beautiful people, Thank you. Thank you so much. Kristen,
I
anything?
also want to say it's so important. Thank you so much for sharing the important steps of the dying process, and also for those who are around someone who's dying, the importance of no loud sounds or distracting them from their process. I think that's so important. And if I hadn't have learned some of those things in the end of life doula course that I took, I wouldn't have known how to be present to my own mother when she was passing, how to hold the space, how to recognize the stages of death. You know, a lot of people, they see the active stages of dying happening and they panic and they call 911, and then that person ends up dying in, you know, an emergency waiting room or I mean in the hallway or whatnot, a death that they really don't want to have. So the more we can educate ourselves around what Dr. Dom is sharing, these stages of active dying, and how to also be respectful of those who are going through them, then we can really hold space powerfully for those who are making this transition. And also, I think, as he shared, so important to start to think and to share with others around us what is our vision for our passing, so that we can set into motion and know that we're going to be held and protected in that space, that we're not going to be alone, that we are going to be in the place with the sounds, with the, as much as possible. Obviously, we can't control everything in our path, but I do believe that the more intention we put into the process now while we are living, the more we will be closer to our vision as we actually go through it. So I have just so much respect for you. Thank you so much for sharing and being present to death in the way that you are. And I was struck by all of the beautiful colors as well. And that people were sharing and going through the process outside as well as inside. So beautiful to see this. We so often think of death as the color black, you know, especially in Western culture. And this brought this new life and resonance. Thank you.
Beautifully stated, Kristen. And I just want to take people, as always, to his website if you want to get more information about the wonderful work he's doing. I'm going to spell it. It's KOSISHNGO, kosishnego.org. KOSISHNGO.org. Changing the face of rural India with palliative healthcare. And thank you so much. And again, just beautiful pictures and beautiful for us to learn. 18 years of service, 700 end-of-life patients cared for, 25,000 volunteer hours have been put in. Wow. And 125,000 primary patients have been treated. So this is powerful work that you're doing, sir. Thank you so much.
I hope I can come volunteer at some point, if you'll have me. Yes.
Please do. Please do.
Thank you. I'm just so moved.
Well, thank you again, sir. And now we finally are going to get to hear our beloved Kristen play as an opportunity for us. We have a lot to digest. What the doctor just shared, what Danyan shared, what Gary shared, what Celestine has shared. We've had wisdom from all these elders. And so now we can digest it with Kristen Hoffman music. Tell us what you have planned.
So I'm going to take us on a Solom journey. And Solom, for those of you who have never experienced this with me before, is a word that I use to describe my improvisational singing and musical style. Sol being light, Om being the vibration of the universe weaving together. So this song has never been written. It is inspired completely by the field that we have co-created tonight. And we will see what comes through. And I'd also like to invite you all a practice that Celestine mentioned and that I practiced when I was studying with Henry Fursko Weiss, was to put on a beautiful piece of music and lie down and close your eyes and actually envision your own dying process, your soul leaving the body. Where does it go? What happens? Maybe in this next journey, you can give yourself the gift of a short period of time of just closing your eyes and practicing your own dying process. Or as Danyan would say, your transition into the continuation of living process. Here we go. Speak to me softly. Speak to me with your eternal voice. Lead me through this doorway. My fears dropping to the ground. Light shimmers, stepping into a new kind of expansive grace. Loving all, being loved, remembering that love is our core essence, our everlasting truth, and that we don't need to know exactly what it all looks like or how it will all unfold, but trust in the wisdom of our soul. Trust that we have showed up to every moment, every single moment, and known what to do. And in this ultimate moment, this ultimate transmutation, knowingness is all around. As we remember the truth of who we are, as we embrace the love, the love, the love, the love. infinite love, infinite grace.
Well, we're having another one of those little deaths that Gary talked about.
I love you, Scott.
I love you too.
Thanks for going on this journey with me. It's always, always such a gift. Always such a gift.
I want to invite people, whether you're on Facebook or in our Zoom room, to put into the chat box, into the comments, anything that you experienced during Kristen's spirit channeling that just took place or through the evening. And in the after show, I want to read some of what you're experiencing, some of what's come up for people. So please do that. I'll be happy to go through the contact information again for Daniel and Celestine. Debbie, maybe you can pop that back in the chat box for people. It's hard to speak, but I do want to remind people that obviously spending time with Kristen is such a blessing. And we're lucky that we get her once every 6 or 8 weeks on this show. But you can have Kristen Hoffman in your home at any time. It's just made it really easy. Her website is kristenhoffman.com. There are 2 F's and 2 N's in the spelling of her name. And there's a lot going on. I mean, definitely at the very least, put in your name and your email address. And you can buy her music. But I really want to encourage everyone to do what I did, which is go in the upper right-hand corner where it says Payment and Membership, and then become a member of her Sonic Soul family. And what's wonderful is once a month, she hosts, it's always the second Sunday afternoon, 6 o'clock East Coast time, 3 o'clock West Coast, a gathering where she plays, she does a solo, just like we heard, that's original. There's conversation, there's a couple of songs. It's beautiful. And you can come in for as low as $11 a month. Or I encourage everybody to come in, if you can, at all possible, come in at one of the higher levels. And you can get discounts on her services, you can get music. There's so many wonderful things that she offers. And again, it has been very hard for musical artists. You know, they make 1/3 of a cent every time we listen to their music on Spotify. Literally, that's not a joke. They make 1/3 of a cent. Most of them have not been able to tour because of COVID and the pandemic. People don't really buy CDs anymore. And so we need to support our beloveds. And there's no one that I want us to support more than Kristen Hoffman. Her voice it's a national treasure. And it's a treasure for the Global Peace Tribe. I look at all the comments coming in. We need to support our Earth Angels. All right, we're blessed to have Earth Angel Kristen with us. Please, please, please support her. So.
Thank you. Thank you. And we've been having such deep, incredible monthly journeys together in our Sonic Soul family community. It's really a time where we can be in an intimate space together and discuss a different theme each month through words and music. So.
And it's a beautiful tribe of people. You get to meet her father. We love him.
My dad comes every month.
He's awesome. We get to meet her beloved, and her dearest friends, and become part of this Sonic Soul family. Please to join us. So.
And now I think we have some announcements.
We do have some announcements. It's hard to speak after that beautiful music. I want to, I guess, start by just letting people know that one of the things I'm loving about the Awakening World is that we can really go deep for an entire weekend. And last night was great. If you missed it, go back, watch, go to our YouTube channel or go to Love Coach Academy, and you can always catch our previous shows. And tomorrow we've got some really wonderful guests. We have Suzanne Kelly, who literally is the best-selling author and kind of the world's foremost authority and spokesperson for green burials. And so it's going to be wonderful having her with us. Linda Starr Wolf, who was on last night, she had some internet issues, so she's coming back and she's going to do some shamanic breath work with us. And then Sharon Collier, who is a death doula, talking about how, again, when we're preparing to die or we want to support someone how to die, she's a death doula and she's going to share how to do that. So, and always on Sundays, that's kind of like our wrapping up weekend, or wrapping up show, I should say. And so there'll be lots of room for Q&A. So please do join us tomorrow for the Awakening World. Also, beloved Terry Russo mentioned that the way that our registration is set up, there's not a way that people can come in at a level different than what is suggested. We suggest 15 or 35 or 75, but you can all make tax-deductible donations to the Global Peace Tribe this way. You can either use your computer and go to supportgpt.com, and it's tax-deductible, or grab your trusty cell phone, turn it on to camera, pretend, you know how we like go to restaurants and get menus this way now? Just go to the Q code and boom, there we are. We come up, and that's how you can find us and donate. And then you can donate anything, $11, $77, $111, $888, whatever magical number you want to donate. And we really appreciate all of that. And it does go really out to our family that helps create the Awakening World. So I'm going to leave that up for a minute while I talk. Also, let people know about the Awakening World. Please, we want to invite more people to know about the shows that we do. Most of you talk about, my God, I love these shows. They're so important. Invite friends. Have a watch party. And most people go, oh, okay, I'll watch, but they don't know that it's great. So do a watch party with them. Watch with them. And then they go, oh, wow, now I know what you're talking about. So we do want to grow our family. We want to grow our Global Peace Tribe. And any ways you can do that is really, really appreciated. So thank you. Okay, I have a really big announcement to make. I alluded to it last week a little bit. When, for many years, I taught courses, usually 3 or 4 a year for 3 months each. And my last course that I taught was 2 years ago, spring of 2020. And then the pandemic hit. I got involved doing Saturday Night Live. My coaching practice got very busy because so many people are having relationship issues. But people have been saying, Scott, when are you going to do another course? So I have committed, and I want to invite all of you to join me for my next course. And I'm calling it the LCA Masterclass. LCA stands for Love Coach Academy. When my wife passed away, I started the Love Coach Academy, where I trained other coaches in my style. I have coached about 1,000 couples and several thousand individuals. That's what I've done for the second half of my life. And this is going to be a 12-week course where I bring all of my best tips, tools, and practices. We meet on Saturdays for 12 weeks, starting on April 16th. But you want to register now, because if you register now, I'm going to offer 2 bonus classes, one on April 2nd, one on April 9th. And you'll also get a 30% discount. And there's, when you go to the registration page, you'll see that if you come on as a couple, there's a special for couples, or you can come on with another person that you want to partner with. We also have a optional empathy practice group every Wednesday night. And we also have a private Facebook group that we start. So it's a real community. And this community comes together, and over the course of 3 months, we go deep. We go deep into learning each other, supporting each other, really become family. This is about I don't know the exact, but it's probably about the 15th 3 month course that I've taught. And it's always powerful, and it's always an amazing group of people, and friendships, lifelong friendships are usually made. Several of my trained and certified love coaches will be there as well, helping out, providing support. So please join. And all the details are at www.lcamasterclass.com. So I'm sure Debbie's putting the information into the chat box. And I look forward to having all of you join us. It's going to be really powerful. I limit it, by the way, to 30 individuals and then a certain number of love coaches. So it's intimate. It's a Zoom meeting, so we can all turn our cameras on and work with each other. And the empathy practice group, it's optional, is also a Zoom meeting. And usually we end up adding a few special events. So I invite you to come be part of this course. By the way, a lot of the people who take it end up training as love coaches. And if you're interested in being a relationship coach or being part of Love Coach Academy, this is the first step in that process. And then other people take it just because they want to have great relationships. They want to improve their relationship with their partner or their family, or they want to prepare to have great relationships in their life. So it has a lot of purpose. So
Can
thank
I
you.
say something, Scott?
Yes, you may, Celestine.
I got
Celestine has
my
taken my course multiple times. That's
I
right.
got my certificate.
You
So we have
did.
gone through the whole process in our community of, conscious, compassionate communication. And so we honored you when you started your beautiful love coach. And I jumped right in and I got my certificate. So it has done me well through my own practice. And so I want to encourage anybody that it's a really wonderful gathering. You meet good people and you get to go through the process and learn good things. So thank
Thank you, Celestine. I so
you.
appreciate you jumping in like that. Thank you. That feels, I get shy asking about this stuff. I can raise money forever for other people, but when it's
Now you have a way of teaching that's very clear, and the practice itself, you've done it for so long, you don't realize how clear you are. But
oh, thank you.
wonderful, and you make it fun,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it will.
everybody has a good time.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you so much, Celestine. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we love.
And stick around if you're available to lead the prayer for our prayer for peace in the after show, Celestine. I'd love you to lead that.
I'm gonna jump off. My body's starting to fade, and
Understand.
trying to keep it from stressing out. But I want to I'll say a prayer now. Blessings in the highest light of the one. And opening ourselves, we gently ask for the awakening of our new relationship with death, and knowing that we are here for eternity. May the blessings of this teaching, this working tonight, be for all time. And may we all receive it in our beingness and radiate it out into the world in pure love, light, truth, harmony, balance, and joy. Thank you. Love you all.
Thank you.
That's
One
it.
last announcement, and then we've got a final Christian song. I got a phone, actually a text message today from Lynn Twist. You all know Lynn. She wrote The Soul of Money and part of the Pachamama Alliance, wanting to know if I would help out this organization. And this is a wonderful fellow named Dr. Fred, who's putting together with a number of other people like Lynn Twist 3 events to raise money and raise consciousness around what's happening in our world, with a lot of focus on what's happening in Europe with the war. So just want to have people put in their calendars, even though it actually conflicts with my course, to be honest. But Saturdays, April 9th, April 23rd, and May 7th. There's going to be all 3 of those Saturdays, 9 hours of music and speakers and presenters, we the people. So I told him I can't teach in the morning, but I am going to lead 1 hour each afternoon where I'll invite some of my friends. Maybe even Kristen can join us. So certainly I'll be inviting my friends from the awakening world. So just wanted to let everybody know about that. And so many wonderful things coming together. Kristen knows about that because she's very involved with the Evolutionary Leaders Network and World Unity Week and all the people and organizations coming together to make this world a happier, healthier, safer place.
Yes. That's what it's all about, right? All of us working together and weaving. It's no longer just keeping to ourselves, right? But what we're working on can nicely weave with our neighbors, and we can become kind of a living flower of life in our energies.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait for your course. That looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I'd love to take it.
Oh, good. Well, we'll definitely
We'll talk about that.
get something special for sure. And thank you for letting me. Jasmine Bear has been very needy since her big brother passed away. It's been really interesting, just talking about death, how she was there when he passed, and her whole reality has changed. She really is like with me almost all the time. And before, like during the sessions or my classes, or she'd be, nearby and then running around and playing. Now she's like wanting to be with me most of the time. It's interesting.
She's so beautiful.
Okay, what are we going to conclude with?
We're going to play one last song. We're kind of on the old time of Saturday Night Alive, right? Through the 3 hour, the 9 to midnight time.
Yeah.
And this song's going to take us right to the midnight mark, about 5 minutes. This is a piece called Ghosts. And I think of it as those moments where the veils become very thin and you may feel a loved one who has passed brush by, or you may just feel this rush of another part of your own life earlier on come back to visit you, the ghosts of our own life's past. So when we're blessed with these sacred moments, just to take a moment and notice and listen. What are the messages that they're sharing with us? Here we go. Moving in and out of time, uncovering the ghosts. I can almost touch them with my eyes. These roots run deeper than we know. The melodies that gave them life got lost somewhere beneath the snow, like a long releasing sigh. Oh, sing to me once more. Wrap me in your purple sky. Oh, like a quiet thunderstorm, wakes you softly in the night. A distant lullaby.
Ghost of moon, the fever flared, pulling in and out the tides, washed away my innocence. But the white flame burned right through the night. These wounds cut deeper than we know, painting lines upon my face. God lost somewhere beneath the snow, reaching out to touch the space. Oh, sing to me once more. Wrap me in your purple sky. Oh, like a quiet thunderstorm, wakes you softly in the night. A distant lullaby. Sing to me once more. Wrap me in your purple sky. Oh, like a quiet thunderstorm, wakes you softly in the night. A distant lullaby. Infinite gratitude, infinite gratitude. And when you feel those moments that are where the realms are thin, the veil is thin, just open yourself, listen, give thanks. I put this here tonight. Here, wait, let me make my speaking a little clearer. I actually put this here tonight, this card behind me, because this was a perfect example of the song Ghosts. My mother passed about a little bit over 10 years ago now, and it was very sudden, and we weren't able to say goodbyes in life verbally. Actually, the last time I spoke to my mother, we had a disagreement, and that was very hard for me. But I was able to be with her for the 3 days and really doula with her and my father as she actively passed, and I really felt that was so beautiful. But because I never was able to share these kind of final words with my mother, who was such a beautiful, beautiful soul in this world, and who gave me, she was such an incredible model of a woman. Wow, I just feel so emotional saying it. Anyway, I never got those final words with her, and I always just yearned, oh, please let me find something that you wrote or some little note. And I got this kind of bing, like, oh, at some point you're going to find a card. And years later, I think it was 2019, I had taken all of the books out of the basement, out of boxes, and I put them in our bookshelves here. And it was a few months later, and my partner, Troy, my beloved partner, was down in the basement, and he felt that sensation where the realms were thin. He felt a tap on his shoulder, and he felt, oh, there's something here. And he picked up a box and opened it, and he realized there was one box of books I hadn't opened yet. And he brought it upstairs and he goes, I don't know why, but I feel like you're supposed to go through this. And so I started going through the books and putting them on the shelf. And I got to a book that my mother had gifted me. And in the book, a card fell out and it was sealed, and I had never opened the card. And in the card was this incredible whole heartfelt letter from my mother, and it said, celebrate today. And I had just started a new journal, and in the journal I made my new kind of symbol for life. In the first page was an oak tree, and on the front of this card is an oak leaf. And inside the card she wrote an amazing letter. And I put her picture in here just so you can see her. And she put this. And I feel like, wow, isn't this incredible to get from after someone's passed? I don't know if this is backwards on your screen, but it's the 4 agreements.
We can read it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So the 4 agreements. And I thought, wow, at this point in my life in 2019, her spirit has somehow asked me to key back into the 4 agreements. And also I got this incredible letter, which was really written to me as a woman growing up in life. And it was just that perfect letter that you would want to receive. So just know that, as Daniel and everyone has shared tonight, it's a mystery. We don't know exactly what happens, but I think we've seen so many signs tonight that there is more. There's so much more. And we can start to embrace and open ourselves to the more. And I think we'll be surprised. And I think we will have an even more beautiful relationship with those around us while we're alive. And we will certainly prepare ourselves for a death that is filled with awareness and more consciousness. And I can't imagine a more beautiful gift to give to ourselves than that.
I'm going to go to gallery view, just where we could all twinkle, Kristen. Gary Malkin is even back. And Alan Bell, Dr. Future's with us. And of course, beloved Jerry Anderson.
I never left. I was just cooking some soup.
Oh, Gary, thank you for staying. You're so beautiful. Thank you.
Love all this.
And I know we have more wonderful energy to come tonight.
Yes,
I have to say, I am a huge fan of Fanny and Omashar. I just love you two so much, and the music you're bringing through is such a service to our hearts and to this world. Omashar, I watched your incredible piece from last night and today, and it just brought so much love into my heart. And Fanny, I was listening to your music the other day, the 1111 magic. So thank you so much for everything. Every time you're on, I just feel, So we are in for a treat in the after show.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I'm going to thank Debbie Johnson one more time. I'm going to bring her on. I want to thank Dr. Future, who makes the beautiful videos like you saw at the beginning of the show, along with his partner's son. Love our wild abbot, the Mystic Monastery. If you're looking for a place to live, Puerto Rico, 10,000 acres. Gary Malkin, going to bring you back on one last time. And thank you, everybody, for the after show with beautiful music, a little bit of prayer. And I want to read some of the stories that and experiences you've all had. And I've got a special surprise. Thank you, everybody. This is officially the end of the main show. And now we go to that little, there it is, the marker, and we're going to begin the after show. All right, so welcome to the after show, everybody. And I'm going to just turn it straight over to Fanny, who's going to take us on a harp solo. A harp solo. So I'm going to remove the spotlights and put the spotlight on you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful night. My heart is touched, and it was a very special night, profound, and with great awakening on how to live up into our future lives. And I learned so much to be a better being. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this one will... It's for my sisters and my brothers that are guiding us into the light. And purity, gently flowing, diving in eternity, perfection and beauty. are the union of the eagle and the swan, the male and the female, the fire and the water, life and death. Integration, self, creation of a new life. We are the mystical union. We are divine. Yes, we are. Thank you.
Wow.
That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
I
my
felt
love.
like getting up and fairy dancing because it just felt so flowy and perfect for now.
Well, thank you so much, Fanny. And a reminder, let's support her by going to Bandcamp. And now she's got, they keep adding. It's wonderful. It started with one, then two. Now they've got 3 records that you can buy. Just go to The Mystiques 111 at Bandcamp. The Mystiques 1111. Don't forget the 1111s. And thank you, Fanny. We miss Fugari, but I gotta say, you and your harp are a beautiful duo. A very beautiful duo. So wherever Fugari is, love to him. But this was perfect, really, because the harp is so angelic, and here we are talking about, the other side, the other world.
Yes.
It's really powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a powerful night. It was transcendent tonight. Yes. Thank you for all the wisdom and the purity of heart and the true knowledge of what really dying is. We have never known so much as how to be of a great sister now. And I've lost a few darling friends in the last few years, my sisters, and I wish I would have been more awake as I am today for being more of service. So thank you for tonight, for your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to actually read a few comments that have come in. And I'll either read from Terry Russo, or if Terry's willing to speak for herself, I'll put the camera on you, Terry. Just let me know in the chat box. But I've been very blessed to have had very powerful experiences with my father dying when I was 22, my mother dying, and I was very close to both my mother and my father, and I walked them both through their death. And then, of course, my wife passing in my arms. And then most recently, little Boobily. Many of you saw little Boobily. He'd be up on my lap. And I want to share how Boobily died because it was amazing. And I thought about it a lot, obviously, tonight. He was doing fine. He's 13 years old, a little bit of a belly, moving a little bit slower, not as fast as he used to be, but still going for walks with us every day and eating like a little horse. And on a Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, I noticed that we got about halfway through our normal walk, and then he stopped and he gave me the look like, let's go back home. So we walked back home. That morning, when it's time to go outside for pee pee poo poo, he was moving pretty slow and didn't really do much other than his business, and then wanted to come back inside. Then in the afternoon, now we're Thursday afternoon, he sat up in a posture I'd never seen him in before, and he started this rhythmic breathing. It was like panting, but the way he was sitting and the rhythm he was doing and the way he was looking up. Usually when dogs pant, they pant down. He was like looking up, doing this rhythmic breathing. And I started thinking, oh my God, I wonder if he's getting ready to die. Now there was a part of me that's like, wow, maybe I should take him to the vet. And I'm so proud of myself. I didn't. I didn't go to that panic. Got to take him to the vet. Got to see what's wrong. It's like, wow, something's happening here. It's very, and I made the decision if he's in the morning, still with us and there's something wrong, I'll definitely take him to the vet. But I was like, no, let's see how the afternoon plays out. And he just kept up his rhythmic panting, kept it up all afternoon, kept it up in the evening, didn't eat, took a little water, went outside with me another couple of times, but just to do his business and then come right back in, go back into panting, go back into the breathing. Finally, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and when I turned out the lights, for the first time, he laid down with his back against my back, and the other dog, the one you've seen tonight, we're close at. And within about 5 minutes, there were these 3 little jolts, and the breathing stopped, and my other dog started to cry. And it was amazing how he knew what to do. He knew what to do. And I loved what the doctor from India had to say, because it was a reminder. I didn't really get in the way. I made him comfortable, but I didn't go racing to the vets and, put him in, let's check all the x-rays. I just let him do, and he knew what to do. And so I just thought I would share that story tonight. So Boobly, I miss you very much, but I also appreciate, as Gary's album is called, Graceful Passages, and he had a very graceful passage. Healthy until the end, no long drawn out deal. When we go for our walks now, I do have to say, I imagine he can fly, and I imagine him in his little spirit body flying around saying, look at me, I can fly, and I can go way ahead of you, and I can come way back. And so I imagine him flying with us and zipping around, because that's kind of the way he would have been or is. So anyway, that's my Boobly passage story. A few people had asked about him over the last couple of weeks. So thank you. Terry, can I put the spotlight on you? Yes, you said yes. Here is Terry Russo. She is one of our favorites. She's a regular to Global Peace Tribe, Saturday Night Live, now The Awakening World. And Terry does wonderful work. She has helped many patients leave their body. And so, Terry, I'd love to have you share anything you feel like sharing as a result of tonight's show and our theme of transcending and transforming our relationship to passage.
Well, thank you, Scott. That's a very kind introduction. I love your show. I've been watching it from day one. You've been helping a lot of us get through COVID. I have to tell you, it's been really pleasant watching all the shows. As far as what I do, I've been a nurse and a nurse practitioner for decades, and worked in a lot of different areas, and in the hospital as well as outpatient and in the home and in the community. And I've seen a lot of patients die, in all those different settings. But I have to say, probably the best has been when they're home around their family and friends, and they're not afraid, and and they're kind of in that point of wanting to let go. They're in that stage. And a lot of us as nurses, nurse practitioners, we help them. And it's important, I think, for them to have that. You know, it's much more special in that way than, you know, when you're in a hospital and, you know, you're going through a code or on ventilators. I mean, obviously it depends on what's going on, but bottom line, it's the kind of thing where people really need to have that transition, and they need to feel safe and loved, and they need to have support. And it's nice if they could have more than just us and have family and friends. I do remember in the 80s, a lot of patients that died of AIDS, and they didn't have anybody because their families threw them away. So I don't want to gobble up this time, but I've gone through many different experiences depending on, you know, what setting it was. But I have to say it's important transition. And even with animals, I've had many animals, and just like Scott was saying, you know, they're pretty smart. They know what to do, and we just have to let them do it and be there for them, and, you know, not go run to the vet. So I don't know what else you want me to say, but I thank you for doing this important work and putting this show on. And my kudos to that doctor from India. He's a saint, a living saint.
Yeah, I mean, really special, wasn't it? I mean, everybody, Gary, Kristen, Danyan, Celestine, each person with their own unique, beautiful, beautiful gifts. So thank you, Terry. You know, to me, you really represent our viewers, the people who watch, who are also all of you. And so speaking to you, but speaking to everybody through you. You know, Kristen and myself, we get to be on camera and we get adulation. You know, you're every day working as a nurse, every day helping people, every day doing unsung hero work. And I really want to acknowledge all the unsung heroes like yourself of the Global Peace Tribe, who every day, they're teachers, they're doctors, they're nurses, they're caretakers, they're homemakers, you know, doing things that maybe don't get as much attention as those of us that are on camera get, but that are just as important, just as precious. You're all of us, everybody listening to my voice is an imaginal cell in the butterfly growing out of this dying caterpillar. So thank you, Terry, and thank you, everybody that Terry represents tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go to Omoshar for our closing song, I'm going to read just a couple of things and then see if Kristen has anything she wants to share. Ayada is also one of our regulars, and she always writes beautiful things. I haven't read it yet, it just came in, but Ayada writes, Scott, my heart is feeling so full tonight, overflowing, and I just need to acknowledge the magic and mastery of this gathering. Thank you. Oh, thank you. It's personal appreciation, so thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over. Thank you. I'm just kind of shy to read all that. Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to you for any final thoughts before Omashar closes us out.
You know what? I want to read that. I'm going to read it because it should be read, Scott. Scott, okay. My heart is feeling so full tonight, overflowing, and I just need to acknowledge the magic and mastery you bring to this gathering every single week. I don't know if you truly understand what a difference you have made in the lives of so many people. I imagine hundreds or thousands over the last 2 years. You have created not only a safe container for us to gather, but a place to be real, to feel so much. Joy, hope, healing, connection, healthy, grief. And we have all learned so much. You have brought the best of the world into our homes, grown a community, and inspired us all. I know the world is a better place from this gathering, the Global Peace Tribe. Deepest heartfelt gratitude to you. I think that says it all. That was so perfectly shared. I know we all feel that exact same way. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, I'm kind of got tears right now, so thank you.
We all love you, and we are so grateful for your commitment to opening up this space every single week again and again, so that we can come together and learn and grow and dance and celebrate and cry and experience music and new awakening. I mean, it's just so beautiful and so important. This is a part of, I really believe this is a true part of all of us learning how to step into that new next vibration.
Yeah.
It's time. And it takes us all practicing together. So thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, when I woke up this morning, my first thought was, I get to be with Kristen today.
Ow. It's so fun when we get to be together.
It is. It's pretty fun. And we've never met in person. Can you imagine?
It's crazy. Only during this strange era would this happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right. Well, God bless you. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ayada, for those beautiful words. Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful comments and appreciations. And I am going to turn it over to the wonderful Omashar to wrap us up for the night.
Goodness me. I'm left speechless after this show. In fact, every show that I watch and imbibe, let's say, I just get floored with my capacity for my heart to expand and be ever greater and ever bigger. And Ayata, I read something you put in the chat box earlier, and I thought that's fantastic. I'd like to make a comment about that. But what you just said about Scott and what Christine just dittoed, I ditto too. I have no words. I just get so filled with love. You know, we spend a lot of time here watching this show, and I just get melted. I feel so much space and peace and ease and grace in myself now. And I'm going to play a song from my Flower of Life album, my third album. It's called We Feel Love. It's a slow progression. And when I pack up after this show, I'm going to take my equipment to England and go and see my mum, who is transitioning. And we thought she was going to leave a few months ago, but for some reason she's hung in there. Probably because her birthday's in a couple of days. So I'm going to go and hold her hand. And this has been so auspicious, the timing of watching all of these pearls be gifted to us, that I'm going to be able to take them and be with her so much more present and so much more alive. And so thank you all for that, for this. So We Feel Love, the Flower of Life album. Yes. Thank you. So deep breath. Let's go a little deeper before we go to bed or out to lunch. Lost in a sea of illusion, feeling so alone, lost on a wave of confusion. Where do you turn? Flow with the tide of completion. Know the reason why. And drink in the waters of healing. And be healed.
home to the part of us that's waking up, and we know deep inside of us we've got a friend, and we remember the design of our lives. We remember the desire in our hearts, and we feel love, and we feel love. Dive into the depths of your being. Know that all is well. And dive into the deepest ocean and see the truth. And cast off the cover of darkness. Free yourself from fear. And show that you're ready and willing to make the change. We're coming home to the part of us that's waking up, and we know deep inside of us we've got a friend. We remember the design of our lives. We remember the desire in our hearts, and we feel love, and we feel It's so fun.
Blessings on your trip to England, dear friend. Blessings.
Thank you so much. And the transition thing between songs and the outer world and between life and death. Every time when I wake up in the morning, I think, and it's that transition that's helped me understand that gap moment between getting out of bed and being here. Blessings, everybody.
Well, thank you, Omashar. We love you so much. Thank you again, Kristen.
I want to know what happens when Omashar jumps into that bed behind him. Does he go through a Does he go through a portal?
It is a
into another
portal.
world?
It's actually a portal. Yeah, it is. I was wondering what I should put onto it because it's my green screen, and I thought, no, I need to match what's on Fanny's wall. So
It's perfect.
Beautiful.
Blessings.
All right. Well, I sure hope to see everybody tomorrow for Sacred Sunday. Again, we've got amazing guests. So please join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock East Coast, just about the time that Kristen's waking up. Thank you, Kristen. It's 12:38 in the morning where she is. God bless you. And thank Troy.
It's impossible to leave when so much great energy is happening here.
Well, tell Troy I appreciate him letting us have you so late tonight. Thank you so much. And big love to everybody. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Good night, everybody. It's been another beautiful show. Much love.
Love,
Good night,
love,
everybody.
love. Good night, everyone.
Oh, I love Jerry. Look at Jerry. I mean, look at this guy. You know, he's just the best. All right. Good night, everybody.